I'm Emily Nelson, and this is the Chieftain Spear Straight to the Point. This episode, Trash Talk. Earlier this year, BPS Superintendent sent out an email informing staff that their trash hauler, Premier Waste Solutions, would no longer be accepting recyclables. I sat down with Premier Manager Mike Schrader to see what he had to add as to why their processor decided to stop and how the community can pitch in to help.
And so we're family owned. It's myself and three of my brothers. We've been doing this since 1975. Way before,
Yeah.
long time ago. When I was about your age, I was actually about 14 when we started.
Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, so I run this operation here in Omaha. That's my position. I guess I manage this business here.
Okay, so you'd be the manager of this location or
Yes.
this? Okay, awesome. And then can you tell me a little bit about what led up to deciding? You said, can you repeat that again? About what is it exactly?
Single stream.
Single strand.
Single stream.
Strain. Okay.
Okay, single stream came in quite a few years ago. Give you a little background. Back in the 90s, we came up with a curbside program to do recycling for residential customers. And that's when they got these little 18-gallon bins, which make wonderful laundry baskets, by the way. That's what a lot of people used to do. But anyway, what we did back then, we called a curb sort. So there were 7 different items that we recycled. And we would have a truck that had 7 different compartments. And he would stop it in front of your house, grab the bin, and take the items and put them in each one of those compartments.
Okay.
Newspaper, tin cans, aluminum cans, glass, and those kind of things. That's back actually when we recycled glass from the customers. So, and then the industry changed about 10 years after that. They came up with this thing called a single stream. And what the single stream was, we're going to take all those items and just put them in a cart. And the truck comes by and dumps them all together into the truck, and then that truck goes to the recycling processor. And then we dump it on the ground, and they take it and they sort it from there on these big giant conveyors and sort lines, and they magically do all the sorting there. And so it made it much more convenient for customers. They just took it out there, dropped it all in their bin, and away it just magically disappeared and got recycled. The downside to that, at least my opinion on the downside of that, is we made it too convenient to the point where people forgot that we had to prepare it correctly. And one of the biggest problems we have, there's actually 2 issues that has brought us to where we're at today. One of the issues is the contamination rate in our recyclables. There's so much trash in with the recyclables. And our processor about a year ago started letting us know that the contamination rate was way, way, way too high. And the problem is, if you can think about it, if I came by 10 of your homes, your place and 9 of your neighbors, and I came by and I pick up your recyclables, just like in that bin, dump it in my truck, dump all 10 of those carts. If one of your neighbors just throws whatever in it, they eat the yogurt cup and leave half the yogurt in it, they drink a soda, leave half the soda in it, and the jelly jar, we don't rinse it out, the peanut butter the same way. He just throws all that stuff in there. They're all recyclable materials, but they're not prepared correctly, right? So that goes in there, and now it gets all squished with the other 9 people, and now that jelly and peanut butter and yogurt gets onto the other people who did do the right things. Next thing you know, we go from a contamination rate from one house, or 10%, to probably 70 or 80%. So when it goes to the processing facility, this item gets dumped on there and it's going across the conveyor. They're not going to clean this product. It goes strictly right straight to the trash. There's no sense of it. There's no way to make any monies. At the end of the day, somebody has to make money doing this, okay? So that's what turns the lights on. That's what pays for the employees to be on that conveyor system and all that. So it all just tossed right into the trash. And so that's what their complaint was the contamination has just gotten so very, very high. Now you throw into the global market problem that's been going on for a number of years, which hopefully you're educated on that,
Yes.
the whole China thing and everything else. They're not buying in, and one of the reasons China's not buying from us is because they're tired of buying what? Our trash. We're not giving them a good product. And so over the years, that didn't change, and I'm sure there's some politics involved somewhere in all that too. So they stopped buying. And so they took a lot of our material. So the problem is domestically we don't consume that much. We don't process that much. And it really depends on which product it is. Your plastic, your aluminum cans, your cardboard, your paper, all of these are commodities, and they're all traded on the Chicago trade, we call it the yellow sheet. And it comes out every Thursday, and the prices go up and down depending on what the demand, the supply and demand thing is of where that price is. And right now, or it has been for some time now, the prices are in the basement. Okay, there's just no money in recycling, and it has been like this for a long time. And so these processors are struggling. And so what happens is, one is, we don't want your trash anymore. We want a clean product. If you can't give us a clean product, we don't want it. And two is, we're going to have to charge you a lot more on the front end because we're not getting paid on the back end. The mills are not paying us much. So now us haulers are paying them a higher tip fee. When we go across their scale, it's called a tipping fee. We were paying there for a while, for quite some time, $30 a ton. And then they've raised it here in the last 60 days, where now we're paying $110 a ton. So that's where a lot of this all came from. So even on the residential side, where we're still doing a single stream, our rates have gone up dramatically, very, very quickly, and consequently we've lost a lot of our customers have quit. And some of it, they may have wanted to continue, but they're on tight budgets too, and they didn't want to go from $4 or $5 a month to $12. It just doesn't work in their budget. And so unfortunately they were having to give up doing the residential recycling. The school is affected differently because the school is considered a commercial account. And not to confuse things, but the commercial, we have a higher rate of contamination. Because now we're talking about employees, or at your school, the students, all doing the same correct thing to get that soda can clean into the recycling container. And school cafeterias are horrible at that. Years ago, when Gretna first started recycling, we tried that for about 6 months, and Gretna gave up on it.
Yeah.
They even had students take on the task of watching what kids were putting into the recycling container, and they finally we gave up, because what they were giving us was trash.
Yeah.
So what we have in with the students with the schools, as long as same as business with the employees, especially if it's a large business. Now you have to train all the employees that work there to make sure they're putting the right thing in for example, an office here, that we're putting, if we're going to put a coffee cup into the recycling, it has to be rinsed out. Most people won't do that, so they just take it, and so if they would just put it in the trash, we'd all be happy. But there's a part of us that says we want to do the right thing, even if they're not doing the right thing. We still want to have that cup recycled, but we don't want to take the time to clean it.
Yeah.
So we put it in the recycling. And what happens? Now we've contaminated, the other people are doing the right thing. And so you just multiply that. And so basically, First Star Fiber came out last year. First Star Fiber is really the only processor here in Omaha. They do all the city of Omaha residential contract and everything. So they're the ones that tell us as the haulers what we can or cannot do. So they came out about a year ago and said on the commercial side that they were no longer going to continue to do the single stream system. There was just too much contamination. And because on a commercial side, what I haven't also told you about, the other problem they have too, besides just having all the employees to train and educate and make sure they're doing the right thing, they also have things that we call drive-by. And when a business has a dumpster sitting back in the alley or in the parking lot and it's exposed to just the public driving by, a lot of people will have trash and they look for dumpsters and they go and they take their trash and they throw it in dumpsters. Well, those people who are throwing trash into a dumpster don't care if it says recycling or it says trash. And so they get a lot of drive-bys. In fact, we actually put a locking mechanism on a lot of our dumpsters to try to kind of prevent that from happening. But even then, they still get around some of that. So that's the other component the commercial people have as well, that you wouldn't have at your home. Most people don't drive by a neighborhood and look for somebody's cart and throw something in, but they will do it on business, and they do it all the time. And so they have that other component as well. So my recycling that I go to try to collect and take to First Star Fiber on the commercial side has a much, much higher contamination rate because of the drive-bys. And so consequently with that, they shut the entire single stream down. I was able to go to another smaller processor who told us last year that they were going to go ahead and bring me to single stream and we're still going to process it. Well, he's not really processing. He's pulling out the cardboard and the rest of it's getting trashed. Okay, I won't mention his name. I'm not trying to get the guy in trouble, but at the same time, he kind of sold us a bill of goods that it wasn't happening. And in good faith on my end, I want to make sure if I'm going to tell you that I'm taking your recyclables to a processor, I want to make sure the processor is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing as well. I don't want you going to all the work of preparing the recyclables and it just ends up going to the landfill anyway.
Right.
So we cut ties with him earlier this year, and so now we're with the constraints of what First Star Fiber is requiring us to do, and they do not take single stream in the commercial side anymore. Only cardboard boxes. They call it OCC, which is Old Corrugated Containers, is what OCC stands for. So that's all they'll allow me to take from a school or from, the come and go down the street or whatever businesses I haul. We're still encouraging, and if you think about it, the bulk of what we're doing by volume now of our recyclables is cardboard. The Amazons of the world and all this stuff that comes now to our doors is all in a cardboard box. So we do generate a tremendous amount of cardboard now. So it's good that we're collecting that and still have an outlet for First Star to accept that. Because that's something they can take, that they can, if it has a little contaminated, they can clean. But at the same time, they're also implemented a fine on us. If our loads come in and they're not clean, then they will fine us. So what that's forced us to do is over the last 60 to 90 days, we've had to talk to a lot of our commercial accounts and say, hey, you guys want to continue to do recycling. If you do, it's only cardboard boxes, and we are going to do inspections. So they're back to that same old problem. I don't want one of my commercial accounts to have trash in there that would contaminate the others that are doing the appropriate thing. So we haul a lot of different, to your Taco Bells, to banks, to you name it, any kind of business around here, we're a part of that. And I'm pretty excited. We went out and re-stickered everything and did a lot of education with these people, and almost, I'd say we're probably 95% of them responded very well. We did have a few that said, in the office, they're kind of like, we can't do all of it, and it's just not worth it to us. And they just canceled the service, which is fine. So it's those who either really, really want to do the right thing and do the recycling correctly, or they really need to quit. Because I don't want them to contaminate the others. Yeah. That's what it's all about. So I'm playing like a little referee now, where we literally have my drivers will open lids, take a picture, send it to us if we have an issue, and then obviously when that information gets back here, we make the call to the customer and let them know, hey, I'm going to send you a photo of what we saw in your dumpster this morning, and basically at the end of the day, clean it up or we have to pull the dumpster. And it sounds almost, what do you mean? You don't want somebody to recycle? No, I want them to recycle, but if they can't control it, which some companies can't, because they just can't. They have a lot of people there. Sometimes it's tough. Yeah. Like your school. Yeah. It would be hard to manage that, and then who's going to manage it? Yeah. That means somebody has to do that, and if it's a place of employment, that means you're paying someone to manage it. So is the business willing to spend extra money for that? And yeah, that's some decisions people have to make. So that's what's happened in a nutshell. What's happened is we have been mandated by First Star Fiber on the commercial side that we can only put OCC into the commercial recycling dumpsters. So we're basically on the hauler, on the transporter. I don't get to make the decision of what is or is not allowed to be in that dumpster. So they made that decision for us. My conversations with First Star Fiber was we're optimistic that at some point the market's going to change. I mean, whatever comes down goes back up. So at some point this is going to change financially for them. But they're also, as for the actual product change, I think what's more going to change it is we need to give them a consistent, really good product for a period of time, and then I think then they're going to say, okay, now let's try to add something else to it now. I think the biggest thing that they wanted us to do is do kind of a wake-up call to all our commercial people, saying we just can't just throw anything and everything. You need to police this. I think once we get the people's attention on that, and we've already got a system in place now where we're actually doing audits on dumpsters and stuff like that, and they're auditing our loads when they get dumped on the floor. I think that chain of checks and balances will allow us to start bringing more products back into it. That's my hope. That's my conversation I had with them. I'm asking them, can we start bringing more products back in? Because I'm going to have the demand for that. And for them, it's a wait and see. The product looks clean. Now, does that mean it's months down the road or years down the road? I have no idea. So right now, their biggest challenge is the other products right now are harder for them to move.
Okay.
Once they have them prepared, I mean, if you went down to First Star Fiber and just drove into the place a little bit, you will see just bales and bales of products sitting outside. It's not moving. For example, if they can move 1,000 tons a month, they're probably bringing in 2,000 tons of material coming in. It's not. They bring in more than they can get rid of. So it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And some of the problem products would be like your plastics. Plastics are, we need to come up with a better solution. You're starting to see a little bit, I don't know if you've been hearing some of it, is some of the manufacturers are starting going back to aluminum.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, beer bottles, instead of being glass, which they're going to go to aluminum, which is a little bit more expensive, but the savings to the beer manufacturers is it's a lighter product. Glass is heavy, so when it goes to transportation, it costs more money to move glass. So we're seeing a little bit more and more of some of the products going to an aluminum or an alternative other than plastic or glass. So we're trying to get something that's more recyclable. Aluminum has always been very recyclable. So the whole plastic, glass is pretty much, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get rid of glass. They've tried so many different things with glass, alternative ways. They pulverized it, put it in asphalt. They've tried all different kinds of things to find a way to get rid of all the excess glass. Huge problem. So, but plastic is now that next demon that they need to deal with. They're hoping, we need it on the front end. We need the manufacturers to come up with some solutions too. So, because right now this is not going to change quickly. Plastic just piles up, and what are you going to do with it? They are, and don't get me wrong, they're recycling a lot of it. It's just we're creating more than they can process.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the mills. So when you take that milk jug or that Downy soap jug and you clean it out, put it in there, you want it to become something else at the end of the day, right? Yeah. We just don't want to go bury it somewhere. So that's the magic. So it's going to take a lot of different things to happen all at once to make this really, really work again like it was at the beginning. I think at the beginning we had a good plan, but I think that just the market went down, and we're not doing very good as consumers preparing this. And so First Star Fiber Base has said, okay, we're done.
That's understandable.
New sheriff came to town.
Yeah.
And here's the rules. And if you guys want to do it, that's great. But here's the rules. It's going to be much more expensive, and you need to bring me a clean product. And if you don't, I'm going to fine you. And so us as haulers, we get fined. That means I'm going to go find you, whoever it is that's putting something bad in my truck, and then I'm either going to educate you hopefully and get you to do the right thing, or I'm going to take your car away.
As you can provide, I think, a different perspective from seeing everything firsthand and how it's affecting the market. So what can you say to students that would maybe make them more mindful of what they're putting into those recycle bins?
If it's not clean, it's not going to get recycled. That's the bottom line. You have to prepare it. And most of it, back in the days, we used to have to take bottle caps off. They had to be separate. We had to take labels off. That's not a problem anymore. They have machines that do all this stuff now. That's able to separate all that. We just need to give them a clean product. That's at the end of the day, that's all we have to do. Clean. Done with that Downy jug at home when you're doing your laundry, wash it out. Yeah. And then once it's washed out, then we place it in the bin. And that's all we have to do. I mean, it's fairly simple. And it's kind of what we had to do from the beginning. For somewhere along the line, we lost that. I think, there again, I think it's a single stream. We kind of had it in our mind. In fact, I know we did, because I still talk to customers and think, well, I didn't know I had to clean that out. So my encouragement to all the students would be clean the product out. And if you don't have time, which that happens, don't have the facility, whatever, I mean, you're not close to somewhere where you can wash it out, that's fine, then put it in the trash. Do not allow that one can to ruin everything else that's already in the container over here.
Yeah.
That would be my encouragement. Don't contaminate it.